Oriana Fallaci, journalist, war correspondent, and author, died last week in her hometown of Florence, Italy. She was 77. She had suffered from cancer for many years. She is perhaps one of the most provocative interviewers of her generation, or any generation, whose fame reached its peak in the 1970s. Her conversation with political leaders, including Henry Kissinger and Ayatollah Khamenei, were at the times confrontational, but always revealing. The child of socialists, she had contempt for authority and once wrote, "I have always looked at disobedience towards the oppressive as the only way to use the miracle of having been born." In the 1990s, she became increasingly reclusive, dividing her time between New York City and Florence. She returned to the public scene following the September 11th, 2001 attacks with writings critical of Islam. Her book, The Rage and the Pride, drew accusations of inciting hatred against Muslims. She appeared on this program several times. Here's a look at some of those conversations. Why fiction rather than journalism to say what you want to say about war, relationships, power?
Right. Well, thank you for this question. Because, you see, when I say that journalism was for me like a narrow jacket, something in which I felt uncomfortable. I meant that when you write an article, a reportage, you have to stay within the limits of what has happened, what has been said. I mean, you must be very rigorous in reporting without inventing, without distorting, without manipulating, which I was very good in it. But the better I was in being so rigorously faithful to events, the more I felt like writing handcuffed, you know?
Yeah.
You cannot move, you cannot open your arms, you cannot
Can't you do?
Concepts, for instance, or to what literature does. It universalizes the truth. People can recognize in that story. Do you know how many times I have found people that say to me, the character of that book is me. I found a woman, 87 years old, the grandmother, who said to me, Alekos, it's me. Alekos is the character of A Man, the other another novel of mine. I found the carpenter, 40 years old, who said to me, the child of I am the child of a letter to a child never born.
So you believe that Tolstoy has more to say about Napoleon and Russia than all the historians do. And you believe that Robert Penn Warren can say more about Huey Long than Huey Long's biographer can say.
I would say this, that we have understood much better the Napoleon campaign in Russia and what happened in Russia at that time and what General Kutuzov did to chase Napoleon through War and Peace of Tolstoy rather than through the history book that, by the way, few people read.
Yeah, but some would say about your journalism that you were always, in a sense, by your editing, painting the picture as you saw it. So it filtered through your own imaginative process. You weren't putting people in their mouth. You weren't putting words in their mouth, but you were choosing what words to include, and more importantly, what context and what words to leave out.
This is not true. These are my enemies, saying, you know, people like me have a lot of friends, a lot of enemies.
Yourself.
No. It has been misinterpreted. No, I would never. The proof is that the fact my interviews were very long, and I had to fight each time with the newspapers to which I gave them to run them completely. And they were so long because I did not want to cut what was said. Because if you cut a phrase, or if you cut a concept, you give it distortedly. Of course, I mean, if I go to interview Khomeini, I don't go as the best of friends of Khomeini. I mean, I'm kind of, I'm ready for the worst. If I go to see Gaddafi, yes, I go as an enemy. Oh, yes. But, I mean...
You go as an enemy, as an adversary,
as an adversary to
you
Gaddafi,
go prepared for combat.
Yes, to a bastard, yes, I would go. I shouldn't say that.
That's all right. Yeah, but let me just stay with that, because I want to come back to the book. But just, you go to those interviews prepared for combat. You go looking for what?
I don't go preparing for combat. By the way, I did go
Yeah.
because I don't make interviews since a long, long time. That belongs to the past. I don't make them. I don't have any need, any curiosity, I don't feel compelled to make interviews. They really belong to remote past.
Okay.
But I went, no. I went to write a portrait or to write about an event.
And in writing a portrait or writing an event, in a sense, you define through the interview the portrait that you saw and what you thought was relevant and not relevant in the whole process.
You're doing the same with me now.
Of course I am.
Because the moment you approach me a certain question rather than others, you give an image of me rather than another one.
All right.
It's your show.
Don't you ever forget it.
and don't you ever forget it was my show when I was making those interviews.
What is it about war? This is a question they always ask of you. Yeah. Why war is it so fascinating? And what is it that so appeals to you?
You're not saying that I like war.
Not that you like war, but that you like...
It's obvious I hate war.
You like the qualities of human emotion you see on display.
Listen, because like one of the characters of Inshallah says, the one I call the professor.
Do you have that easily there?